Hi guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. I am so grateful that you're here with me today. You know it always means a lot to me. Thank you for taking the time to tune into today's episode and share a moment of connection with me. It is always such a special time together. If you're tuning into the episode based on the title of today's pod, it might be because something deep within you is nudging you to take a closer look at the way you've been treated in relationships, whether they are past or present, and more importantly, what you've accepted that you know deep down you've never deserved. I want to ask you a few questions to start off today's episode. Have you ever accepted less than what you know you're worthy of? Have you mistaken the bare minimum for love or princess treatment because someone made you feel anxious, small, or unworthy of anything more? And by receiving those small breadcrumbs, you clinged on to that good feeling? Do you find yourself omitting pieces of your relationship when you're talking to your friends or family because you know that they wouldn't approve of how you're being treated? Would you ever be okay with your loved ones being treated the way that you've been treated in certain relationships? Guys, I've been there. I've felt this ache in my heart filled with confusion, this self-doubt. I know what it's like to feel as though you have to earn love, to twist and mold yourself into somebody else's ideals just to feel chosen, just to have one more person not leave you. And so I want you to know that you're not alone in this feeling, and you're not crazy for wanting more, for asking questions over and over again of why can't I receive the love that I give? Because these breadcrumbs of inconsistent behavior are not a feast. You can't be fed with this. And love shouldn't feel like a performance, and you should never have to prove yourself to anyone in order to receive love, because you are worthy of genuine love now, and you really always have been. Today, we're going to dive into the second episode of my new series that I introduced a few episodes back, which is Partnered to Single. And I hope that in today's episode, it feels both like a truth and a gentle wake-up call at the same time. And for today's Partner to Single, I really wanted to dive into behavior to walk away from and finally choose yourself. And I think with every episode of Soulful Living with Megs, there is moments of vulnerability, and we absolutely are going to dive into vulnerable moments today, from betrayal to emotional unavailability and to partners who shrink the bright light inside of you instead of celebrating it. We're going there. And while we do, I promise that I'm here with you. I'm holding so much safe space. As always, this is just you and me. And again, you are so incredibly safe. I wanted to remind you that throughout today's episode, please take whatever resonates with you and kindly leave the rest out. And I also wanted to remind you that I'm not only speaking from some high horse or only quoting self-help books, because I feel as though I've mentioned before that I've read a lot of those, but I will reiterate that I read a lot of self-help books of discovery and growth. But I've lived these stories that we're going to dive into. And in the first part of my series, I did open up about the struggles and insecurities that I have faced throughout my life while being in certain relationships that didn't serve me. And I was made to believe that I was unworthy of receiving pure love. And yet I stayed in some of these relationships maybe longer than I should have because of those insecurities. You know, I've been with someone who hid me from their life, who never introduced me to their family, never posted about me. They kept me tucked away like some kind of secret almost. And over time, I kind of believed that it was because of some type of shame that they felt. I've also been with someone who was kind to me, but fairly judgmental of others. And it took me time to realize that this kindness was conditional, that it didn't extend beyond what only served them. And I've also been with someone who lied to me repeatedly. And even though I didn't stay in that relationship for a long time, I still tried to justify their behavior in some ways because I thought maybe I could finally fix them, that I could be the one that they changed for, and that maybe I wasn't doing enough. And maybe the insecurities that were reflected back to me was because it was my own inner work that I needed to heal from, not just a projection of their behaviors and insecurities. So these aren't just stories. I think that they're proof in a way, proof that when you ignore what you know in your heart and what you know in your gut and what that soft intuition is telling you, the universe will keep showing you the same lesson over and over, louder and louder until you finally wake up to listen. And I think I finally have woken up to listen to a lot of the things that the universe was trying to present to me, but I also know that that is so much easier said than done. So what do we do with this awareness and how can we move forward? And for today's episode, I wanted to share with you a list of behaviors that I will no longer tolerate, that I've jotted down and that I kind of live my daily life thinking about when I meet new people or experience a connection of some kind. I'm kind of living with intention of what behavior will I allow into my life and what behavior will I not? And I hope that when I share these points that it inspires you to create your own. I hope that as we go through these different behaviors that I will no longer accept, that it helps reassure you that, again, you're not alone and that you get to ultimately choose who has access to you and your incredible energy. So number 1 on this list is chronic lying or deception. Even the small lies chip away at trust. You deserve truth, always. Number 2 is lack of kindness towards others. If they're kind to you, but unkind to strangers, that's a red flag. Pay attention to who they are kind to. Number 3, being hidden. You are not a secret. You are not optional. You deserve to be shown off, shouted from the rooftops. I mean, you do. There's not much else to say other than that, is that you deserve to be bragged about. You deserve to be introduced to all of the important people in their life because you're an important part of theirs. Number 4 is inconsistency. If someone's words don't match their actions, believe the actions, and believe the actions the first time. This has in the past been personally super hard for me because I always try to put myself in somebody else's shoes and give them the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, we are all adults here. And if someone is doing something completely opposite than what they're saying, I think we need to really pay attention to what their actions are and listening to them, because I think that shows a lot of who they are in their core. Number 5 is two-faced social behavior. If your partner changes around their friends in a way that makes you uncomfortable, pay attention. I was in a relationship a few years ago where I really enjoyed our dynamic and who this person was when we were alone. And even with his family, I really enjoyed the dynamic because I loved being a part of his family. But I did notice that he kind of became someone I didn't fully recognize when he was with his friends. And I don't know if that was the shyness in him or just it wasn't a vibe that I think energetically felt really off when we were together with his friends. And it was something that I was kind of a wake-up call for me of, wow, do I actually know this person? You know what I mean? Number 6, fundamental misalignment in your core values. Love is not enough to overcome incompatible beliefs on the things that matter most, like integrity, empathy, justice, or equality. If you and your partner can't have healthy differences coexist with understanding, pay attention to this feeling. I'm a believer that differences can absolutely coexist if you are understanding of each other's differences and you're not really judgmental of those, or if you don't try to push each other's beliefs on one another. I do think if you're able to have a healthy conversation about it, that's great. I think that there's going to be differences in a lot of relationships, but the core values of who you are and how you carry yourself today, I don't think fully change a lot. I think that they can adapt. I think that you can learn and grow with them. But if you have these core, strong social beliefs, what you feel is injustice in the world, and the types of groups that you feel, are important to you, it's important to have a partner that aligns with you in those. And also, if you are different in some of those beliefs, can be okay with those differences and not try to change the way that you view the world and change your beliefs, because these core values are who you are. And you can love this person, absolutely, but love isn't enough to keep this relationship going if you have complete opposite viewpoints of certain things. Because how would you raise children in that case? How would you be parents? How would you build a life together if you can't even agree on something that's super important? That was the list that I have for you today. And I want to take a moment to say that this episode isn't about blame, and it's not about calling out every mistake someone else made, because this episode is about you. It's about your healing, your clarity, finding your voice. And I'm sharing these points with you because I want to remind you that I think we've all been there in some shape or form. We have all in some way accepted less than what we deserve. We've decided to stay and fight for relationships that aren't serving to us because we're humans and we make mistakes. That this ultimately aids in our journey of life. And while this journey of reclaiming your standards can feel really painful, I know that. I promise you, I know this feeling. It's also where you begin to feel truly free. It's where your energy starts to shift and you stop settling for crumbs and you start preparing your table for something so much more fulfilling. And I really want to be real with you again. This episode is deeply personal to me because a lot of these things, it's coming straight from my heart, because I want you to feel like we're having a one-on-one conversation, that we're sitting across a coffee table right now, coffee, matcha, or in hand, whatever it is, finally having the conversation that you've maybe avoided for way too long. You are so worthy of love that's not confusing, love that's not hard to earn, love that doesn't make you question your value every day. You have always been and always will be worthy of a soft and kind love. You shouldn't have to fight so hard for that kind of love. And if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for sticking with me. I know this can be, quite a tender territory, and I know that vulnerability sometimes is scary, but again, I'm thankful that you're being gentle with yourself and that you're here to feel these feelings and to sit in this discomfort. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. So I want to recap those red flags / behaviors that we will no longer accept. Number 1, repeated dishonesty. Number 2, disrespect towards others. Number 3, being hidden or treated like a secret. Number 4, inconsistency with words and actions. Number 5, discomfort around who they become with their friends. Reminder here that you are who you surround yourself with. So it's important to pay attention who they have in their life. And number 6, core values that just don't align. Here's something else that I want you to remember. And this is super huge. And I want you to write it down in your phone notes if you can. I want you to write it on your bathroom mirror in erasable marker if you can. I want you to say this over and over again to yourself out loud or in your head. The less you tolerate, the better you'll be treated. And that is not just me speaking my woo-woo stuff, because if you saw my room, guys, you'd be like, okay, I love my crystals. I love spiritual energy. I am very energetic in that sense. You guys know I'm sensitive, but it's truth. It's an energetic truth. The moment you start honoring your standards, the universe or God or whatever you believe in starts to match that energy. They start to bring you higher vibrational people. They start to bring energy that matches your incredible energy. So again, I'm going to repeat what I said. The less you tolerate, the better you'll be treated. But here's possibly the hardest part about all of this is that you have to believe you deserve it first. You can't simply say, I want better, while still giving access to people who make you feel like you're too much, you're too emotional, you're too needy, or you're too hard to love. You have to believe in your core that you are worth more than what is making you anxious, and you have to actively create change. You have to cut off the energy that isn't serving you, to show yourself and to prove to yourself each and every day that you are deserving of better, because you are. Whether that's blocking that number, blocking the social media profile, cutting off the contact without feeling guilty for not providing an explanation, because we need to be better at protecting our peace. And I promise you, if a relationship is making you suffer, you do not need to justify how you're going to protect your peace moving forward, because you need to look out for yourself and you need to put yourself first. How can we actually do this though? Such a hard thing. How can we actually believe this? How can we stick with it? What do you actually do with all of this? I think for starters, therapy really helps. I think that's a really good resource to lean on. It's helped me greatly. I've been in therapy for years, and I understand that financial situations can differ from people to people, but there are free resources out there. There are more affordable options to talk to a professional. I'm definitely going to link some options in the show notes for you, because the more you talk about it, I think the easier it is. I'm such a strong believer that keeping things within you, it hinders your own growth. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your soul. So talking about it, I think, really helps, whether that's with a professional, but also even confiding in those who give you space to feel all that you need to feel, I think can be incredibly beneficial. I actually have an actionable exercise / challenge for you. And whether you do it today after you listen to this episode or perhaps later on in your week, I want you to spend 15 minutes writing out 2 lists. The first list will say what I will no longer tolerate in relationships. And the second list will say what I will accept and the behavior that I deserve in relationships. And you can even do this on a blank sheet of paper. You can scribble it down the middle to separate it and kind of have one side of the paper read the first part, have another read the second. And you can do this exercise with a trusted friend, or you can journal about it privately, but don't think about it. I want you to actively write it down so that you're able to claim it. And I did this exercise with my friend Camilla a while back, and we drank tea. We had some lovely music on in the background, and it was a really therapeutic exercise. And we actually ended up reading each other's lists out loud and shared our ideas and even bounced off one another. And it was so reassuring, I think, on both ends, and just a great eye-opening experience to even look back and think, wow, I've tolerated so much in the past, and I will not allow that energy into my life now. And I want you to think about that when you read it out loud with yourself or even just a trusted friend. And I want you, after this exercise, to keep that list somewhere visible, whether it's taped to your bathroom mirror or on the door as you leave the house or in your room somewhere. Reread it every time you start to make excuses for someone else's poor behavior. Keep rereading it every time you feel that pit in your stomach that says something's off. Remind yourself by reading this list that you deserve more. That if you have to justify poor behavior, if you have to rationalize and make excuses, if you're left feeling confused, they do not deserve access to you. Something else actionable that you can do is listen to podcasts that resonate with you on topics like this. I personally like to listen to Mel Robbins. Of course, I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with Tinks. I'm also listening to a podcast called The Psychology of Your 20s. But you can listen to any type of podcast around heartbreak or feelings of unworthiness or any type of self-help in that realm to help you feel less alone. And these ones have truly helped me and really resonated with me to reassure me that I'm not crazy for feeling the things that I feel. You can also read books on, again, whatever resonates with you to just aid in that feeling of feeling less alone. A truth that I want you to carry with you as we close out today's episode is that the love that is meant for you will never ask you to become someone smaller in order to receive it. You will never have to shrink yourself to the love that is meant for you. I really hope you find some comfort in hearing that. My beautiful friends, that is what I have for you today on the second episode of Partnered to Single, the behaviors that I will no longer tolerate and walk away from. I really want to say thank you for showing up for yourself, for listening, and for holding space for these hard but necessary truths. And if today's episode resonated with you, I would absolutely love and appreciate for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe you know a friend who's been struggling silently, or maybe this is just for your future self so that you can come back and be reminded of your strength when you need it the most, because you always have the strength within you. And I want you to remember that the journey to self-worth isn't about perfection. It's about honoring your needs, protecting your peace, and choosing again and again to walk away from what no longer serves your soul and to finally choose yourself. You are not too much. You are not too emotional. You are enough just as you are. I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities of joy and love and light. I'm sending all of that energy to you, so I hope that you feel it. I can't wait to connect next week with you on another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you, and we will talk so soon. Bye, guys.